The Oklahoma City Thunder earn a statement win over the Denver Nuggets. Chet Holmgren showed elite potential in this game, and the Thunder outdueled the Nuggets due to depth, which they didn't really have.
You are Locked On Thunder, your daily Oklahoma City Thunder podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's get it going on the Locked On Thunder podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Rylan Stiles. Follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Follow the show on Twitter at LO Thunderpod. You can also find me over on Thunder on SI. We're recapping the Thunder season opener in Denver. The Thunder not only take down Denver, but the Thunder earn a statement win, running Denver out of their own building as Chet Holmgren shows elite potential. You can start the season with a big return at FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. This was one of the most impressive wins that the Thunder could have pulled off. And hand up, I'm a hand-raised guy. I did not think the Thunder would win this game. You would know if you listened to yesterday's show. But you look at this game, no Isaiah Hartenstein, he's out for 5 to 6 weeks. No J. Will, he's out for an undisclosed amount of time. No Kenrich, same thing. He's out, not sure when he's going to return. The Thunder truly do not have a backup center, and for all the teams to not have depth at the center position, Denver is the perfect matchup to exploit that. I mean, just look at their starting lineup. The size in that first five: Porter, Aaron Gordon, Jokic. Their starters alone exploit that. And then, what happened in this game? The Thunder, at best, played a B- game. At best, I would say that they only got a passing grade in this one. Denver, at home, in the season opener, when you knew that the Thunder lacked their front court depth, got out to multiple 7-0 runs, swelled a 9-point lead. The altitude zapped OKC early, it looked like. And in a game that counts both in the West standings and divisional standings for tiebreaker purposes, which loomed large a year ago. Remember, we can throw out 57 wins and the number one overall seed. That came down to tiebreakers. It came down to a circus finish in San Antonio in a game that you weren't even involved in. So we can act like it's only game one. We can act like these games don't matter. At the end of the day, when the total cost comes to roost, these games do matter all the same in terms of making up ground in the standings. And this was a massive win because the Nuggets start fast. The Thunder don't have the depth in this game you thought entering this game. And when we were talking about this game yesterday, and I was saying, I don't know how the Thunder are going to pull this off. I think it's going to have to be from just shooting the lights out and kind of combating that on the outside. The Thunder shot 22% from the perimeter. They shot 22% from three-point land against a fully healthy Denver team. The only player sidelined for Denver was Deron Holmes, who's out for the whole year. And yet, Oklahoma City, again, at the very best, you can say that they had a B effort. And I want to be clear, that's B production. The effort was there all night long, clearly. But at best, they had a B level production point, and they grew a 20-point lead with multiple back-breaking runs and ran Denver off their home floor. A defensive rating of 90.6 against a fully healthy Denver squad, showing you exactly why they're Thunder contenders. For as many people that picked the Thunder to go far and go to the title, go to the West Finals, there was a pocket of people still wondering, are we overrating Oklahoma City? You're not. You're not. The Thunder were a -10 on the glass, and Denver did nothing with it. I'll tell you why. They were a -10 on the glass, but yet the Thunder still won points in the paint by 10. The Thunder had 12 turnovers to Denver's 15. And again, going back to the -10 on the glass, the Thunder were +2 in second chance points, so the Nuggets did not capitalize on that. But the Thunder also won fast break points 19-12, so they didn't turn their rebounds into fast breaks either. They did nothing with that +10 advantage in a game where you quite truly, literally did not have a backup five. We're going to talk about Oos. I think that was the best game of Oos's career. I don't care what the stats say. I think watching him, that was the best game of his career at the NBA level. But you did not have a backup five, and Denver could not capitalize on it. And you wonder, with the cautionary tale of its opening night, it's one game, and all the other things you need to blanket this podcast with, guess what? We've got to talk the first game. That's the job. You wonder if Denver got exposed a little bit. And I say that because, again, if I would have told you before the game that with no front court depth, OKC loses the rebounding battle by 10, they have 12 turnovers, and their shooting splits are 42% from the floor, 22% from three, and 66% from the free throw line, I don't think many of you are picking OKC to win that game. I just don't. And I told you that you had an inefficient scoring night from J-Dub and a, solid night from Shai, but not otherworldly by any means, by his standards. I don't think many of you think that they win this game, but they not only won it, again, they dominated this game because they held Denver to shooting 35, 17, and 71. OKC was the flat-out better team than Denver. They were the flat-out deeper team than Denver without half their depth. They were so superior, the Thunder were, with their secondary lineups, and we just rattled off Isaiah Hartenstein's not there, so that was your biggest free agency addition in franchise history. He wasn't playing, right? You look, J-Will's not playing. You look, and Kenrich isn't playing. You're relying on Oos and A.J. Mitchell to be the backup center. And, of course, you can quabble with if it was Mitchell, Wiggins, whoever the backup center was in those lineups. But still, you were the far deeper team. And if I was Denver, if I was on Locked On Nuggets right now, this doesn't feel good. I mean, this feels worrisome. Now, they can figure it out. It helps having the best player in the world. But the thing is, OKC was not lights out. They had a ho-hum game from Shai by his standards. J-Dub was not himself offensively. Chet was elite, and boy, are we going to talk about Chet Holmgren. But for Denver, Jokic was elite. I mean, Jokic looked every bit the best player in the world tonight. A really good Aaron Gordon game, really good Christian Brown game. But it was not enough. They did not have enough. And the fact that you can make that game on national television look that way without being close to what you're going to be in your final form, that's impressive. That's impressive. And that's the difference in seeding. That's the difference in who gets the top seed when it's all said and done. And we know that seedings and matchups are what define playoff runs. You need the breaks to go your way, and this is a big, big, big win for creating those breaks, for creating your own luck. Coming up, let's talk Chet Holmgren, who showed elite potential in this game. We'll talk Shai, J-Dub, Caruso's debut, and rotations. But first, I want to say right now about our good friends over at Prize Picks. I love Prize Picks. I used Prize Picks today for the NBA season. You can win 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Go there right now. Prize Picks is available in Oklahoma. You can go sign up today, and you get $50 instantly when you play 5, and you can receive that $50 bonus. It's guaranteed for you at Prize Picks. All you got to do is pick 2 to 6 players. Will they go more or less than their prize pick projections? You can even do cross sport. So tonight you could have done Shai plus Justin Jefferson receiving yards and had a really fun time there. You can, of course, do that again Saturday for college football. The Thunder play Sunday on NFL Sunday. You can do that again. So you can have a lot of fun at Prize Picks. Go there right now and check it out today. And when you do, you can download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 instantly whenever you play your first $5 lineup. Go check it out today at Prize Picks. Prize Picks, run your game. We're back on the Lockdown Thunder podcast, on the Lockdown Podcast Network, your teams every day. What a game this was for Chet Holmgren. I mean, Chet Holmgren just outright showed his elite potential. You can hear Locked On NBA today raving about Chet Holmgren. You should go check out that show when this one is over with. But Chet Holmgren, 25 points, 14 rebounds, 2 steals, 4 blocks, 5 assists, 61% shooting from the floor, 0 for 5 from 3, 3 for 5 at the charity stripe. So it wasn't the perfect game from Chet Holmgren, but it was dang close. It was dang close. He only missed 3 shots from inside the arc. Chet had 3 and 1s at halftime. He had a play where he gets a block on one end on Jokic, runs the floor hard, gets past Jokic, and jams it heading into a timeout, which fires everybody up, puts OKC up 15 after the technical foul on Malone, entering the timeout. Like, that is a back-breaking sequence. And again, we can concentrate it all with one game, but when you couple this game with the preseason, it certainly feels like Chet Holmgren has flipped the switch in terms of offensive aggressiveness, in terms of hunting for his creases to score both on and off the ball. And if this all comes together, because I love the 5 3-point attempts. None of them fell, but I love J-Dub, Chet, and Shai getting shots up from beyond the arc. I love that for Oklahoma City. I think it pays off in the long run. If you can get that and you can get his free throw percentage higher, of course, he went 3 for 5 tonight and he converted all 3 of those and ones. But if you can get those higher, I mean, what are you looking at here? You're looking at one of the best big men in the NBA. He was otherworldly defensively, which is shocking to say because we know how elite he is defensively. But playing the best player in the world, he was awesome. And what I think changes things, what I think is the difference between last year and this year, and why I think in this game he looked every bit the all-star we projected him to be, including spearheading a 14-2 run with Jokic on the floor, which I don't have to tell you how hard that is to pull off. I mean, you have the best player in the world on the floor, and you go on a 14-2 run, and you're in the middle of everything, playing the same position as him. But his body control and his strength, I know that his frame doesn't pop off the page at you, but the production is there, and the reasoning for those 3 and 1s in the first half, the reasoning for him to get downhill and attack hard all preseason and now in this game here is because of that refined body, which Mark's talked about, Chet's talked about. He's made a significant leap into year 2 of his NBA career. And he commands so much attention from defenses because much like Shai, much like J-Dub, this trio is not only special due to individual talent, and they can hit all the circus shots and they can go score at will, but they're special because they're so versatile. We'll talk about this with Shai coming up, but what do you do when Chet can pass that way and spray the ball around? When Chet can get to the rim at will, when Chet can do it as a cutter, as a driver, where do you pick him up at? How do you play him? How much space do you give him? How physical do you get with him now that he's finishing through contact? Like, what do you do? How do you defend that? It leaves defenses puzzled, and whenever you're thinking, whenever you're trying to figure it out, you're a step late, you're a step too slow, and Chet's by you and score. Like, these things add up. These very, very, very small things that we harp on, they all stack on top of each other and add up to the success you see in the end result, which is 25 points, 14 rebounds, 4 blocks, 2 steals, 5 assists. shooting 61% from the floor, all while going 0 for 5 from 3. You just cannot speak glowingly enough about Chet Holmgren's year 2 debut. And for it to come against Jokic and against the fully healthy Nuggets team, and where he was mirroring Jokic minutes. It's not as though he just dominated, backups in this game, and the on-off between him and Jokic was way off. It's not that way. He mirrored Jokic. To get it done under those scenarios against the, Denver starters is incredibly encouraging. So I just think that leap from Chet that you've wanted to see is here. And that if this trend continues, which I have no reason to believe it won't, he's going to be an all-star. He'll be in San Francisco. Another topic from this game, I think, will be an overarching point for this whole year. The rotations are going to take time to figure it out. And there's things that you and I would do differently than how the Thunder handled things. But Mark said up front at shoot-around. Mark said right up front, the starting lineup is fluid, the rotations are fluid, the personnel is fluid, everything is fluid. But in this game, you start Isaiah Joe. That was surprising. We've all kind of penciled in Alex Caruso in the starting 5, but as we've often said, it's the Thunder. It's Mark Daigneault. You've got to expect the unexpected. Mark Daigneault's most favorite person in the world is probably Julie Chen-Mendoz, who is the host of Big Brother and coined that phrase, expect the unexpected. I mean, starting Isaiah Joe was something that Derek Parker brought up on this show a month ago, something that happened in real life today. But it's not just starting Joe, it's coupling that with Caruso not entering the game until the 4-minute mark of the first quarter. And he came off the pine in tandem with Oos, marking them as the second and third players off the bench behind Case and Wallace. And Wiggins was incredible. And I think that you've got to walk the tightrope of how to handle Wiggins' minutes, because in this one, he played 19 minutes, and you still feel like, man, they could have gotten Wiggins out there more. Spoiler alert, Wiggins could play 48 minutes, and you would feel, man, they could have got him out there more because he's that good of a player. I think 19 minutes is a pretty good dose for Wiggins, especially when you factor in, eventually you need to bring in Hartenstein. You need to bring in Jay Will. You need to bring in Kenrich to whatever capacity. Like, eventually, you've got to do those things. And so we can pick apart this rotation, and I would have started I would have started Caruso, or at least had Caruso first off the bench. I think that Caruso gives you comparable shooting to Isaiah Joe and way better defense and intensity out of the gate in a game where, they were able to recover. They stumbled out of the blocks a little bit, got down 9. They were able to recover. But in a game where you had to set a tone because you knew what was happening with your bench unit, I would have started Caruso. They start Joe instead. It's difficult to manage this rotation because when everything has a rational explanation, when everything has a justification, it's hard to figure out what the right thing to do is. It's not as though he started Ousmane Dieng, and no offense to Ousmane Dieng. He didn't start Alex Reese, and no offense to Alex Reese. Like, starting Joe is pretty explainable, pretty rational. We can quibble with who we would have started. We're not the coach. So I just think that these rotations, every night you can have some takeaway of, for me, tonight, I would have gotten Caruso in there, faster. But every night, because this team is so talent rich, you can have a takeaway that way. Like, you can have a takeaway of that ilk. But man, is it going to take time. Like, it's going to take time for everybody to figure out what the best recipe is. And that recipe will be fluid game to game. And it'll be fluid months into the season because you're still 5 or 6 weeks away from Hartenstein coming back. And we know he's going to play. We don't know what role that'll be, starting, bench, otherwise. But we know he's going to play and take some minutes. There's only so many of those minutes to go around. I don't envy the position that Mark is in to figure out who to play and when to play and why to play him. But man, if you can get away with stumbling out of the gate, getting down 9, and then walking the dog in Denver, it's a pretty good job. I mean, that's a pretty good job for all intents and purposes. Coming up, let's talk J-Dub. Let's talk Caruso's debut. Let's talk Shai and more. But first, I want to say right now, but our good friends over at FanDuel. Check out FanDuel today to get started. And you can start your season big with a big return at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. So no matter if you're in the middle of a game, want to jump on a live line, you're looking at spreads, player props, over-unders, whatever you're looking at, you can go there, get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And when you do, you can go check out their lines. And it's NBA season. It's now in full swing. The Thunder play three games in 4 nights, including a back-to-back to start things out. You can go bet on that at FanDuel. For example, tomorrow, Suns-Lakers. Suns, 2-point underdogs against LA. Go check it out today at FanDuel. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. So J-Dub had 12 points, 3 boards, 3 assists, 3 blocks, 31% from the floor, 2 for 8 from 3. First of all, keep taking those triples. That's walking the walk of training camp when J-Dub, when really the whole team has discussed upping their three-point volume. Keep walking that walk, because eventually I really do believe those shots are going to go in. And this was by no means a good game from J-Dub by his standards, by what you expect from him. But you can easily see how things are going to shake out pretty well for J-Dub if you just keep chipping away, keep attacking, keep playing your way of basketball. So there's no like overarching opinion about this game from J-Dub other than one note from him: the 2 quick fouls he got in the first quarter. I think that is a way to encapsulate what we always talk about. Like, we always hear discussions about Mark's philosophies and foul trouble and things of that nature. J-Dub got 2 quick fouls in this game. Not only does Mark leave him in, but J-Dub is playing physical defense. I mean, he's bumping Murray. He's swiping at Murray immediately after getting that second foul. And I think that is a living, breathing proof example of why Mark's philosophy is so important. Because not pulling guys once they get into a hint of foul trouble, not only like lets them have some confidence, but it empowers them to just keep playing basketball. And that's what you always tell your guys. It's one thing to tell them, hey, when you get in foul trouble, keep playing and keep playing through it, keep playing your game. But when you tell them that and then you take them off the floor right when they get 2 fouls, it's a conflicting message. And I think that Mark's built up the equity to not only tell them that, but show them that. And what do you know? You kept J-Dub in there for 2 quick fouls. He kept playing physical defense, and he really paid it off with 3 blocks in this game. Really nice defense, and he ends the night with 3 fouls. So he got 2 quick ones, and he got 1 more the rest of the game. And that's where he buttered his bread in this game, in his debut, was his defense. The offense, 12 points and 31% from the floor, by no means what you would want to see from him. But he still made a very positive impact in this one because he trusted that he could still play his way defensively. Speaking of defense, Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso was everything you would expect him to be in his debut. A plus 19 off the bench without scoring a single point. He is a high motor defensive player that strung together stops almost by himself with constant deflections, constantly disrupting plays, always in position rotationally. He had 4 assists as this perfect connective passer, and those assists, and a couple of them were on inbound plays, which he's kind of assuming that role now without Josh Giddey. But the assists that happened just by keeping the ball moving within a possession is a highlight of what I've talked about this summer. Whenever I think that when you put Caruso and Giddey side by side, who's the more talented passer? Who's the more talented playmaker? Josh Giddey. But when you put them in the concepts that the Thunder want them to do in their roll off the ball, who is a better connective passer? Who is a better passer for what the job assignment is and the job description is for that role? Caruso. And so I think that Giddey will be really good in Chicago. He didn't have that same Smoothie King magic he had in OKC on Wednesday, but I think he's going to be good in Chicago. It's just the fit is so much better for Caruso in OKC. Even without scoring, he still had the 6 rebounds. Like, people were all concerned about what are you going to do without Giddey's rebounds. 6 rebounds from Caruso, 4 assists, and that scoring's going to come around for him. Absolutely. Wiggins, 15 points, 6 boards, an assist, a steal, 2 blocks, 77% from the floor, 1 for 2 from 3, 19 minutes of work. Wiggins just had his way at getting to the rim. He put Denver in the spin cycle, and he really helped out down low. In rotation as the low man, really good stuff from him. Wiggins is just a basketball player. Like bring me your scenario. Okay, you don't have any bigs. Wiggins is going to help you out. You're missing a couple guards. Wiggins is going to help you out. You're missing some forwards. Wiggins is going to help you out. He's just a basketball player. Plain and simple. Shai, 28 points, 8 assists, 7 boards, 2 steals, 3 blocks, 2 turnovers. It's amazing that we don't consider this a jaw-dropping Shai game. That's how good Shai is. He shot 45% from the floor, 2 for 6 from 3. And again, I say, keep shooting those threes. He had a couple of those Shai jaw-dropping plays and a couple tough bounces off the rim that you will see go down in the coming days. He's built up enough of that assurance, those shots are going to fall in the coming days. I thought he was really good defensively. He kind of showed you how much better he can be on that end because of the product around him. And then I think that the biggest Shai point is actually not about Shai at all. The biggest Shai point is if this team, who was not even close to fully healthy, can duplicate what they did tonight, where Shai comes back into the game before half and he has a 10-point lead. He comes back into the game in the fourth quarter where he has a massive lead. This team is unbeatable. If you can not only weather the storm in the non-Shai minutes, but deliver him a double-digit lead, how do you beat this team? How do you do it? Because he's a closer. He's going to make tough shots. He's going to get to the free throw line. It just puts you in such a hole if you cannot make up that ground without Shai out there. And then of those 2 threes, one of those threes was a transition 3 to start the second half. And if that continues to evolve as a part of his game, as it was in the preseason, as it was here tonight, if he truly starts leaning in to those transition 3s, unguardable on the break. Because again, it's a pick your poison aspect of what do you do? If you pick him up too high, he's getting right past you to the rim. If you take a step off of him to gear up toward the rim, he's going to pull the transition 3. If you play somewhere in between, he's going to catch you napping. He's going to catch you flat-footed. There's just nothing that you can do to defend Shai in transition. And now that you have, again, you were minus 10 on the glass tonight, but now that you have the reinforcements on the glass, once your team is healthy, it can really look special. Talking about Us, I do believe he played his best game as a Thunder. I know he had that good game against the Hawks. I know he's had better statistical games, but he played with such force, even on misses, where he missed a corner 3, quick trigger corner 3, next play, next shot, next opportunity in that same spot, nails it. He had someone chase down, block him, but it was an aggressive break where he's Euro stepping past Murray and he got blocked. It happens. It happened to Shai in this one. It's going to happen. But the assertion that he played with, I think, is really good, and it was what the doctor ordered for this game. And then even AJ Mitchell, man, in a pinch, I again, this is another rotational thing. I thought that they'd go to Dylan Jones. They go to AJ Mitchell, and he's playing kind of as the weak side low man in his own, but solid. He walled up, in the lane, forced to travel. He used the sideline as his friend to get a turnover that way. He forced turnovers. He helped you get through this game against a West contender in his NBA debut. It's really good stuff. MVP of the game, Chet Holmgren. Still a loaded schedule and week ahead. Saturday, we have that Bulls recap. Monday, we have your Hawks recap after the home opener. And then Tuesday, a special guest, and we roll into the new week of Locked On Thunder, your teams every single day. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast from, including on YouTube. And until next time, be good and be good to one another.